Lovely start to the game, Mr. Harkirat Singh. Welcome on the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
You developed a passion into golf about 2 years ago, is it?
It was a coincidence, Actually, I was taking my boys for golf and they were having this training program. Started playing with them and it was like,
And this was about 2 years ago, and there's not been a looking back after that. You've been consistently playing for the past 2 years.
I've been.
Let's discuss your business strategies and your company Woodland. Of course, you're donning a Woodland shirt as well as we speak right now. So it all started, from what I understand, in Quebec. And the company from there on grew, and then you all moved back into India. What is the story of Woodland?
See, Woodland started, yes, you're rightly saying, in Canada, in Quebec. And we were doing winter boots there, mainly outdoor boots. So quite specializing into that category of footwear. So the market was very good till about early 90s. But suddenly, when the Chinese goods started coming in, the market was not really growing. So we were looking for other avenues. Of course, Europe was one of the markets we entered. But since we had connections in India, because a lot of our raw materials like uppers and leathers were being made here, so we said, why not we try in India, So at that time, in India there were not too many of, these kind of shoes, and this category was quite growing at that time. So like we brought in the outdoor boot category here. And it really did well because, especially with the youth, they got fancy with this kind of shoes. And yes, from there on, there was no looking back because the Indian market was actually starting to grow that way, and the retail was kind of quite
So this you're talking about in early 90s when the new industrial policy also set in, is maybe when the footwear market as well must have also taken off because of the LPG policies that the government was incorporating. You said Europe and you said Canada, and you were manufacturing there and retailing there, and then the Chinese came into Europe and Canada and started selling their products as well. Did that kind of impact your sales over there, which is the reason you had to make that shift into coming back to India?
Manufacturing in Canada is not cheap, so even in Europe, like the prices were quite competitive because people had started buying from other countries. Chinese, yes, that was one reason, because it was difficult to compete with the prices there, although, people are not very happy with the quality sometimes, but still, people want to go in for the best prices. So yes, it was a mix of this thing, and of course, we were growing, so we wanted to try out the newer markets, especially the emerging markets, and India being one of them.
You just mentioned about Chinese quality not being that great, but despite that, the facts prove that China is one of the biggest markets when it comes to manufacturing and retailing footwear, isn't it, in the world?
You're absolutely right. In China, there are some of the best factories available. But sometimes, what happens is that when people go to source their products there, they get lured by companies which are giving very good prices, but they're not compromising with the quality. So, you got to be very careful when you go to China to buy anything. You got to go to the right sources. You need to see the factories and the facilities where they have those kind of equipment, the technology. So yes, there are some of the best factories there, no doubt.
What is the measures that you're taking here in India to make sure that you meet up to the quality standards that you have set a benchmark for yourself?
In the category of outdoor shoes and boots, we've been pioneers, so we know what the product is and how to upgrade it. So we continuously keep adding our technology, but recently our factories are working with robots which are actually replacing a lot of the manpower.
Labor.
So the precision is better, the quality is better. So we keep on adding even new materials, which are like eco-friendly materials, which is again, something which we feel it's very important for any corporate or any manufacturing facility to do, because we recycle our waste, we use chemicals which are less harmful to the environment. So I think all these put together, we put a lot in our R&D and new developments.
You still continue to import a lot of your raw materials from India. So let's draw a comparative analysis. If we had to use raw materials from India vis-a-vis using from China, how does that impact your profitability?
Actually, we go for the best materials wherever possible. You know, like if we have chemicals coming out of Germany which are the best, so we import them. You know, if something is good in China and they're good in that, we opt for that. You know, so I think not compromising with the quality of the product, and you know, like even some of our best jackets, which are like technical jackets, which are waterproof jackets, are being made in China, you know, in best of the factories, and those facilities are not available in India. Today, actually, sourcing has become, it's become one world, you know, like it's not like territory wise, so people go where the best price is, but also, you know, where the best quality is. So I think, as you rightly said, a lot of manufacturing facilities are coming in China, which are you know, manufacturing for all the best brands in the world. So since they have the technology, so sometimes it's better to go to them and get the products made.
You yourself have been manufacturing and marketing your products here in India, and your ratio is 40 to 60 when it comes to tier 2, tier 3 versus the metropolitan India, the metropolitan cities in India. Now that ratio you plan to change to 50 to 50, which means there's an India story here in terms of retail. How is that paradigm shift coming through? Is there more demand? Is there more disposable income in those cities?
It's been, you know, a phased out manner. Like when we started, it was basically the metros. We targeted the metros, Delhi, Bombay, and like, you know, even if we tried to go to the smaller towns, it was not doing well. You know, the stores were not doing well. But what recently we've seen is, you know, of course, Pune and Chandigarh, these are big cities, but tier 2, tier 3 cities, which were earlier actually not really, retail was not happening there, but there has been a lot of change there, and especially the buying pattern. It's been changed by the youth, you know, because the youth of these cities and towns, they are now more aware of brands. They want to try out brands, and luckily what the retail growth has shown us, you know, a lot of malls have gone to these smaller towns. So there has been awareness, and there has been this customer retention. Earlier probably those youth were traveling to the metros and the bigger cities to buy, but now they don't want to do that because there are all these big brands come there, and they want to shop over there.
That also means that they have a variety to choose from, which brings me to the next question, which is competition. So how does that pan out for you? Who are your competitors? And obviously when they're spoiled for choice so much with all these malls setting in, how do you differentiate yourselves? Because your price points, of course, is something very competitively that you're working on as well.
See, actually what I see is still in India there's a big vacuum, you know, and I think that vacuum is gradually going to be over when the, you know, like recently the FDI changes which has happened, you know, like we actually need many brands in India, you know, because the market is very big, but there's still scarcity of good brands, you know, because there are different categories, like sports is a different category, then outdoors is a separate category.
So in fact you think it's healthier if more brands are coming into the country,
because, you know,
but aren't you feeling scared about the fact that there is some sort of competition which is going to be substantial in nature, which you will be facing, of course, with other competitors coming and displaying and showcasing here in India?
See, definitely, you know, competition I feel is always healthy competition, you know, because when I see other brands coming in, you know, we also work more harder to bring more technology, more new products. So I think it helps us as well as the customer gets a much better choice, you know. So I think that way the market is going to grow, and especially the unorganized part of manufacturing, that's going to suffer, you know, because since brands take over that, you know, because people who are still buying fake Woodlands or fake other brands, you know, they switch over to the brands then. So I think that change has to happen, and India being such a big country, I think there's no problem of, I don't see any competition problem.
Your company is growing at a growth rate of about 20 to 25% on a year-on-year basis. It has outpaced the market by 10%. What are you attributing the success to? We want to hear your success story.
See, as I told you, you know, we've been gradually growing. We've never done something, you know, irrational. So wherever we open stores, we are very careful, you know, because we don't have franchise stores. These all stores, we have around 350 stores, and they're all company run stores. And that way we are very particular about putting the investment in the right place. So we do our research before, you know, even going to a small town, just to see what is the potential, who are our main customers there. So frankly speaking, all our stores are doing very well, and they are no
so you've test marketed every territory and every geography you've been in.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you know, since this we've been seeing for the past 5 years, there are a lot of organized retailers, big retailers like Reliance and Shoppers and Lifestyles. They've been growing consistently, and they're doing very well. So when we are part of them, you know, and we are there shop in their store, so we grow automatically, you know.
It's an entire growth story that we're talking about.
So I think with FDI coming, this will improve better, because there'll be more big retailers coming in, and you know, I think the whole market is going to grow, you know.
One very interesting point I noticed when it comes to your footwear industry is that the demand in India is quite high when it comes to men's footwear vis-a-vis the women's footwear. 58% is the demand for men's footwear, and that's the kind of growth rate that we're seeing, which is larger in men comparatively. I would presume that women would be shopping for more footwear over men. So what is the reason for such kind of a number?
When we see the market for women, you know, especially, the market is very big. But till now, what was being seen is that women want to change their shoes much more faster and more frequently. So they are not really going in for the expensive or the branded stuff, which has changed recently. We have seen this change because we launched a brand called Woods, which is fashion women footwear. So we've seen this working woman. She wants a brand, then she wants comfort, then she wants quality. So all that can't be supplied by a unbranded product, you know. So when we come there with a branded product, with giving all the you know, technical support behind our shoes, so I think, you know, that market is growing very fast.
So you think from the 58% number we're going to see a decrease when it comes to
gradually,
men, and gradually the number for women is going. But how is it different overseas in other geographies? We're just talking about India right now, and the demand for men's footwear being higher in India. How is the story like in the rest of the world?
See, when we see the West, like we see Europe and US, it's almost 70% women and 30% men. That big difference, you know. So I think, you know,
completely the opposite.
Completely the opposite. So
why?
It's just because, you know, like we didn't have too many of working women, so they were not really spending, and footwear was probably the last priority. First was the apparel part, you know. So I think now footwear has become a part of your dress code. So I think that's bringing, and plus, you know, when the brands come, they bring in advertising, they bring in, you know, like the product is much better quality wise. So I think that change is coming now.
Let's talk about Woodland's corporate social responsibility. Biodegradable footwear, tell us more about that.
See, we are actually very, being an outdoor brand, you know, we are very concerned for the nature. So we always see, you know, how we can do our bit, whatever little bit, to improve the quality of manufacturing. So, you know, like whatever products we make, whether it's shoes or garments, the raw materials which we choose are all eco-friendly. You know, maybe they are more expensive, like organic cottons are more expensive than
where are these getting sourced from? These are Indian, or these are?
They're in India, as well as we import a lot of these chemicals from Germany. The chemicals which are used for making the leather, they're all eco-friendly, and the processes which we use to manufacture these products, whether it's leather or the fabrics, they're all eco-friendly processes where we reuse the recycled wastes. So from there onwards, you know, even we promote this to our customers also, you know, at our store level. We social media being very important nowadays, all our marketing and our youth connect, you know, because our customer mainly is the youth. So we try to talk to them about the environment, about how they can do their bit for the environment. So I think it's basically today it's very important for us to, you know, especially with social media being very important, we are getting a connect with the youth, with a conversation with them about the environment as well as adventure. Especially we have a lot of ambassadors who are youth, but they are doing different activities. Like we have somebody who's just come from the Antarctica and she's just 16 years old. And there's Lavraj who went to the Everest. He came back picking up all the trash left by the other climbers. So, you know, these kind of initiatives are really important for us because they build up our...
Something with UNICEF is also what you're planning, if I'm not mistaken.
Tying up with UNICEF or WWF is all just to, you know, bring in more authenticity in our Pro-Planet mission.
Okay, so is social entrepreneurship something that you've picked up in B School while you were at Harvard, or is it something that you've been brought up with? Because it's very rare to see a company like Woodland or the likes of a Woodland exude so much of corporate social responsibility.
So we've been doing this for quite some time now, and actually the brand was built that way because where we came from Canada, Quebec, you know, there's a lot of importance to outdoors there, and nature is there, you know, like we want that to happen in India also, because all our stores which we are doing, they are all eco-friendly stores. So we try to bring this as part of our growth pattern. And I think, you know, because since the retail is growing and we interact with our customers at every level, so I think, you know, it's our responsibility to kind of convey our message to them and try to inculcate this into the customers too.